Hey, welcome. My name's Chris, Chris Leroux, and we are watching Live Talk with Chris. And on this channel, my passion is to help people like you make progress, help people grow. Basically, I love lifting people up so that they might experience more love, joy, peace, and making progress. I think making progress, if you think about it, is one of the things that help us make us feel alive, right? And so we all love making progress, and so my passion is to talk to you and help you make progress wherever you're at, just to create a breakthrough, to to grow as a person. And so today's topic is honesty, and I titled it, "Are you being honest with yourself?" And basically, you can always also look at this as thinking how to process your emotions honestly. And why am I saying that? Let me start by telling you a little story. So when I was roughly 18 years old, um, my parents went through a rough time. My parents went through a divorce. So I was roughly 18, and this was a tough thing you can imagine for any family, any member to go through. This is something hard and tough. But I remember going through it, and when people would ask me, "How are you doing?" My standard answer was, "I'm fine. I'm cool." Actually, I remember speaking with my brother and sister on the afternoon when we heard that things are going down. It's like things hit the fan basically, and we heard that the divorce is legit. It's real. It's going down. Um, I remember, understandably, my brother and sister being really upset. I mean, and that's actually more honest, right? That's actually real. And I remember my response was almost something like, okay, almost like the what's for lunch? What are we doing next? I just basically, my response was, let's move on. We're moving on to something else, something more fun than this. This feels too heavy. I want to move on. And I remember even like at the days after that, when friends, I love hanging out with friends. And I would remember when people would ask me, "How am I doing?" I would just be like, "I'm fine. I'm good. Like, let's move on. Like, let's talk about something else." So something interesting happened over time. Now I know if we've just met, we don't know each other so well yet. So I got to explain something. I love people. I love friends. I love to connect with people. I love to hang out with friends. I love social gatherings, where there's lots of fun joking around, and I love to participate, right? And so something interesting happened. I started to become really quiet. And again, so if you knew me, when I'm quiet, something's up, something's wrong, right? And so now I remember, like, all my very good friends, we would be at social gatherings, and I would just kind of like sit there, be there, and not have much to say. This was puzzling to me, honestly. It was like, what's going on? Something is up. I don't really know why. And I remember it took. I remember this one conversation with a friend. This was a lady friend, and I'm pretty sure it was Frida Alkema. So Frida, shout out if you ever watch this video. Thank you so much. I think it was Frida Alkema, one of my friends. I'm from South Africa, by the way. So if you notice a slight accent, it's because I'm from South Africa. Anyways, I remember my friend saying just this one sentence, just this little thing, saying like, maybe you are actually upset with what's going on with your parents, but you're not really dealing with it, and so it's almost like you're struggling, maybe. And it was like a question. It was like a question, right? And and I remember just listening to what she said, and I thought, hmm, she might be onto something. She might be right. And so it made me think. And, in the following days or so, I just thought, maybe she's right. If she's right, it almost made me think like there's things going on, right, on the inside. But if I'm not looking at it, if I'm not dealing with it intentionally, if I'm not processing those emotions intentionally, if I'm not being real and honest about how I'm feeling, it's like, at this time I was 18 years old. So I didn't understand these things well enough to recognize it now. I This is years later. Maybe we'll do a competition later to guess how old I am now. But for now, I was 18. I didn't understand these things. So I'm like, but I thought maybe this is true. Maybe she's onto something. And so I started to just be a little bit more honest. And what I mean by that is I just started to be a little bit more honest with telling people, like, let's just say a friend asked me, how are you doing? I would, instead of saying the same old, I'm fine, instead of saying that, I would say, I'm okay. I'm a little bit upset, a little bit angry, and upset. My parents are going through this thing, and I'm upset about it. I'm a little bit angry, and so on. So the point is, what fascinated me, like, it did not need to be long. It just needed to be more honest. And honestly, can I tell you guys what happened? Um, within It felt like within a couple weeks, I felt back to myself. You know how you feel like yourself, that just like, it's a weird thing to describe, but you know when you're back to, like, I'm feeling like myself, right? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. You know when you don't feel like yourself. So you can kind of recognize when you feel back to your good old same normal self. And for me, I was a happy guy. I was at peace and happy guy. But at 18, I certainly saw what happened when I just did not deal with what was going on inside. And then this difference, this breakthrough, of wow. um, and for some of you, what I'm saying right now, I get it. For some of you, it might be like, wow, great job. But the thing is, I remember being 18, and I remember that this simple power principle, what I would say, of basically being honest, dealing with your emotions honestly, it led to a breakthrough pretty fast. Helped me process and be honest and intentional. Helped me to feel more like myself, and it helped me to process my parents' divorce honestly, and deal with it honestly and move on. And so for me, I remember. So, and it also, I think it started something, like a healthy habit, and we'll get into that in a few moments. But because I want to talk about healthy habits, right? You want to cultivate some healthy habits, because um, life has a tendency to bring about some things that almost like accumulates, right? It's almost like a snowball effect, and we'll touch on it again. It's almost like a snowball effect, meaning if you have a healthy habit of processing your emotions honestly, as you go through life, you're keeping that inside space where your emotions are. You're keeping it free and clear, to just process it fast, right? That's Think about a phone. We all know this. Like, think about a phone, how that memory, that, I don't know how you pronounce it, right? I don't know if you say cache or cache. You know what I mean. Drop me a comment. Well, I guess that'll be hard to drop a comment where I can't hear how you pronounce it. We all know how to spell it. But no, but just the issue of, if that thing fills up, like the phone cache memory that fills up, it's like the phone then starts to tell you, oh, these other functions are not working so well, like the basic functions, like to text message, call, to look at your pictures. Anyone out there feel me on this? You can't even you take a picture, you can't even look at your picture. When you want to look at your picture, it says, it's memory issue. You can't do it. You have to clear that cache memory, and then you can look at your normal basic functions, right? So same thing. Like, somehow, if we don't have this healthy habit of processing emotions honestly, it kind of like builds up, and then eventually some of our basic functions in life starts to not work as it should. Okay, so that's the power principle here. So here we go. Power principle would be to process your emotions honestly and intentionally. Okay, so we said that already. So let's talk about if you don't. Let's talk about why do this and what happens if you don't. Okay, here's a couple things. Point number one: it's gonna keep bothering you. Meaning, so we all go. No one goes through life without any hardships. We all go through hardships. Okay, that's part of life. And so if we don't deal with this stuff, it's going to keep bothering you for much longer than it needs to, right? No one wants that. And you might just, maybe you can't put your finger on it, but you're going to just feel like something's off. You're gonna feel like something's off. I don't really know what, but something's bothering me. Anyways, I don't have time. Let's just move on. I mean, so this is gonna just keep going way longer than it should, right? Number two, it's gonna take from your energy. It's gonna take from your energy, meaning when emotions that's not dealt with, it's gonna sap your energy. It's gonna like drain energy, all right, on stuff that just because we're not dealing with it is going to make us more tired, right? Versus if those things are dealt with, you're going to have more energy per day to focus on the things you need to focus on, the good things, the positive things. You're going to have more energy for that, right? So that's something to think about. Again, habit, it takes practice. This is a habit. So for example, maybe and maybe some of your habit is to not deal with some of these things honestly and so on. So the thing is, habits don't just change over time, right? You don't just become older and wake up one day and like, hey, i I seem to have a healthy habit here. No, it takes intentionality, it takes practice. Okay, so that's why we want to talk about this. And then the accumulative effect. So that's a nice big word for basically saying the snowball effect. Snowball effect, it's like it's going to add up little by little if we don't take care of it. And before you know it, your basic functions is not going to work so as good as it can. Okay, so let's look at a few things here. Let's look at some healthy ways that you can express emotion versus unhealthy expression. Okay, because when I think about emotions, I think about the nature of an emotion is like it needs to be expressed. Okay, you're feeling something, you're feeling an emotion, it needs to be let loose. It needs to come out. If you don't, gosh, it's going to backfire. It's going to have a negative effect on your whole system. Okay, so let's talk about some basic things here. Firstly, healthy expression. Talk honestly. For many people, I know for me personally, for me, this is a massive one to talk honestly. This is what the whole story I shared, even if it's short, but even if it's just at least honest, even for a few seconds, that helps you get it out. What is the unhealthy bit? Okay, let's see. Unhealthy would be to say I'm fine all the time, right? You're all the time. I'm fine. No one is fine all the time. That's not real. Okay. And I get that the time we live in with social media and all these things where everyone's posts and things, it's like they post the best part of yourself. I love how stand-up comedians does this and how they uh just joke about that. So it's like no one's fine all the time, right? So we gotta create space to be real, okay, for your own health. It's for your own health. Okay, next up, let's see. Healthy expression, physical or doing something physical like exercise. Okay, this is um there's my wife in the background. Say hi to Rachel. Hi, there she is. We got to pick up kids here pretty soon, so that was perfect. Thanks, love. So all right, so hit something physical exercise, okay. Now I jokingly said here to hit something. Now I mean in the healthy way. When I say hit something, I mean hit something like do sports, do exercise, do some push-ups. One time I went with a friend, we took a massive old sledgehammer and we pounded on like this massive it was almost like a wooden block, right? Some base that you would chop wood on. I mean, we took this thing and we smashed it, right? For guys, this is very helpful. For ladies, maybe try it out. I mean, maybe it helps. Maybe it helps you. Check it out. Now, unhealthy is when you hit someone. Okay, never good, never good. Okay, you don't want to hit people. Okay, that's or a wall. Actually, some people hit objects. So maybe they don't hit a person, but they hit an object, right? So it's like, I mean, I listen. My brother, I love my brother. Love him. We're tight. Okay, we're good. We're tight. I love him. But I'm just saying. I remember when we were younger, like teenagers. I remember him hitting the wall, and I mean, he hurt himself. Okay, so it's just it's negative. It's negative all the way around. Okay, so not good. All right, what's the other one? Oh, schedule your grief. Schedule your grief. How's that? So scheduling your grief. What I mean by that is, Sometimes when I go through something hard, I'll schedule my grief, meaning I'll make some time, and maybe in the morning where everything's quiet, I'll put on some beautiful music that moves me, really moving music, that just moves me, and I'll make room to let some tears out. This is very important. You gotta like make space for yourself to let some tears come out, because that's normal, that's healthy, right? Some people suppress things, they keep it in all the time. It's like it's that is I mean, that's gonna, honestly, over time, that's gonna just be negative for you. So let's see. The unhealthy part is to ignore feelings. You ignore feelings, you think, you just never look at your pain or your grief. You never cry, you never let any emotion out. Over time, again, snowball effect to the negative. All right, it's not going to be good for you. And then again, another thing is to be kind to yourself. Just be kind to yourself. Have grace with yourself. Recognize that you're going through something hard. So um, be kind to yourself. The reason I'm saying this is because some people are very hard on themselves. This would be on the unhealthy side. Some people are like, if you listen to their talk, they're very like hard on themselves. It's almost like they are the one that's the hardest on themselves. It kind of like it comes out, you'll hear it. They'll they'll talk about what they're going through, and then you'll hear that self-talk, right? That self-talk will be like, I did this silly thing and I shouldn't have done that and I shouldn't have done that. It's almost like they're shaming themselves and they're just like hitting themselves with a baseball bat over the head. It's like that's not helpful, right? Be kind to yourself. Here's another one. Share with a friend. This is super important because when you speak, so reach out, put your hand up, own it, be honest. You need some help. You need to speak with someone. This keeps you in fellowship and community. Why is this important? Because the opposite, the unhealthy side, is going to be to isolate. This is, again, this is a big problem. Okay, you never want to isolate. Never. It's never good to isolate yourself. Just kind of like think that you're going through life and it's just you and no one. You're just all alone. I was on a ship. I'll maybe share about this in another talk. But I was on a ship, like a volunteer ship thing, for 2 years, and there was about 300 people in this community that you live with on the ship, right? And I would talk to some people. Some people would feel alone on the ship with 300 people around you. Okay. I didn't really understand that, but it just made me recognize like some people feel alone with people around them. Okay. So it's never good to isolate. Never good to isolate. All right. So reach out. Okay. So moving on, I want to talk about, so how long does it take for some of these, what we would call maybe like negative, not that emotions are negative, but let's call them tough emotions, that's why I say negative. How long does it take before they expire? Well, unfortunately, I mean, if you just look around to people and just observe a little bit, right? You'll see that as people get older, some older people, yes, they are alive and well and happy and full of joy and peace and they're good. Some other people, whether young or old, they are angry and bitter and upset, like all the time, right? This is what we're talking about. This is the power principle of what we're talking about. These are healthy habits that you want to cultivate now. And you can start today. Start right now today. Just pick an area where you can be honest, okay? And it's gonna help you process that honestly, intentionally. It's gonna help you get cleared up, right? And you're gonna feel more free, more alive. You're gonna feel more peace. You're just gonna operate better. Everything is gonna function better. Okay, like that phone, when you clear out that cache memory, it's just gonna work better. Okay, so here's a couple things for us to. So for some of you, I understand that for some of you, you're struggling right now. You might be in a tough situation. Okay, and some of you might feel like, Chris, this is sounds nice, but I feel overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. So this is what I want to tell you is like just there's always hope. There's always hope, right? And there's so much beauty lying ahead for you for your life. And so the thing that you just don't focus on one thing, almost like break it down into baby steps. In other words, don't think about like a gazillion things that you don't even know where to start. just start with one thing, right? Start with one thing. Take action on one area. Honestly, I would recommend you, as a power tip, take a piece of paper. Take a piece of paper, grab a pen, and just identify one area, one thing that you can start to be honest with, even if you write it out. That's actually, I didn't mention it, kind of was moving on here, but for some people, just to write it out, guys, it can change your life. Honesty on paper, just write it out. It's going to help you basically focus. It's going to help you focus your attention. It's going to help you see things clearly. There's something beautiful that happens when you write things out, almost like a journal. If you start journaling some of these things, just 2 sentences, 5 sentences, just start. You'll be amazed at how it helps you process honestly and intentionally. Okay. So, and once you take like little steps, by one step at a time, before you know it, you're going to be growing, and you're going to be building momentum. That's the thing. One little action step unlocks the next action step, and it unlocks the next little breakthrough, the next little bit of development and growth for you as a person. Okay, that's what you want. That's what you want. So don't get caught up in being overwhelmed. Just take one step. All right. So I want to ask you, do you have the courage to be honest with yourself? Do you have the courage to be honest with yourself? All right. Leave a comment for me if you feel like you have the courage to be honest with yourself. If you like this kind of stuff, why not leave a like? Smash that like button. And also, if you want to talk about more like these kind of things, more like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button, and so that you are notified for future times when I have a chat with you. So I just want to thank you. Thanks for your time. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a fantastic day, night, whenever you watch this. But yeah, I'm so glad, saying thanks for sharing this moment with me. And I want to say take care. I'll catch you next time. And until then, take care.